Hello, sailors. Welcome to the American Sailor Podcast, the official podcast of U.S. Sailing. I'm John Pierce, joined as usual by Whitney Kent.
Hey, everybody.
And Janelle Martin.
Hello.
And joining us this week, the chief himself, Charlie Enright. Thank you, Charlie, for being here, our guest host.
Thank you, JP, Whitney and Janelle for having me.
It's going to be fun.
Should be. Better be.
Better be. All right. Tough mandate.
You heard the man,
coming down from the top. All right, let's have some fun. So Charlie, you've been on the podcast at least once before.
Yep.
In the early days.
Inaugural episode, I believe.
Oh yeah, I think our most views. So thank you for that.
Just because it's the first, not because of the content.
But how's it been? You've been here for about 6 months now in your new role. What's the latest?
How's it been and what's the latest are probably two different things, but it's been busy. That's for sure. Still kind of getting my feet wet, for sure. As everybody probably realizes, there's this seasonality to what we do. And We're just kind of exiting high season, if you will. But there's tons of stuff that we do. It's associated with year end. So working on that. I've been on the road a ton. I've been traveling the last probably 5 weeks. It started with the Blue Chip Regatta out in Wisconsin. And then I went to the
That's awesome.
USOPC Assembly in Salt Lake City, where the games will be held again in 2034. So that was great. That was like my first in-person experience with the USOPC. So that was inspiring for sure.
You were running through walls.
I was ready to run through walls in anticipation of LA 28. Yeah, the enthusiasm, the excitement, the professionalism of that whole organization was inspiring and super motivating. So did that. And then I went out to Michigan. I did my my last GL 52 regatta, which was great. So that was season culminating. Competition was awesome. Class has come a long way. It was great to kind of, sign off on a good note doing that.
Nice.
And then where was I? Then I went to Chicago. My wife ran the marathon, but also we were hosting the Match Race Champs there. So I got to stop by and check that out. And then last week was in New York for the Hudson River Community Sailing event in the model room at New York Yacht Club, which is a pretty special affair. So been all the places, trying to see all the people. And I think that's like a big part of the job. As much as I love being in the office and working with you folk, I think it's also about, being amongst the constituents.
Well, I was going to say, it's remarkable that you actually are here in the office, despite being all these other places too. You're still here. So that's, good job.
Exactly.
And you got out there and did a little boating locally this weekend, right?
Right.
What was that all about?
Yeah. So about 3 weeks ago, I got a text from Chris Muessler. Chris Muessler is the founder of the Archipelago Rally, which is kind of like run what you brung, trailer sailor, all walks of life.
I've heard of it, read about it.
And it's kind of impromptu. They decide when and where they're going to do it late in the game, so it doesn't become too formalized or oversubscribed. But yes, this weekend, the Archipelago Rally happened at the Wickford Yacht Club, and there were 40 boats.
Nice. Ranging
from a Snark, I think it's called, was the first boat to start. They kind of do like a Portsmouth yardstick where you just rock up, say what you got, and they give you a rating, and it's a pursuit start.
Pursuit. Okay, it's fun.
Pursuit. And then it's an archipelago rally because you circumnavigate something. And we kind of went out of the harbor and rounded a rock pile, and I sailed with my daughter in a dire dow. We were... I've done some pretty crazy things in my life, but never have I felt more exposed, like with my daughter with very little freeboard sailing out the breakwater at Wickford.
That's saying something.
It was something, yeah. But there were cat boats and town classes, and they give out an overall winner family award. My son double-handed an Opti with one of his buddies, nice. And they won the Stoke Award, so that was kind of cool. I looked up at one point, and I probably shouldn't be saying this on the podcast, but they dropped my son off on a channel marker, and I was like, oh my God, I hope this other kid knows how to sail and like get back to him. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
But it was awesome. It was just like a ton of good old fashioned fun. The event's thriving, shucked oysters, hot dogs. Like it was great. And it was like impromptu and informal.
Yeah,
Love
that's
of the
nice.
game. And the folks, like the founders of that event, have done a really nice job kind of keeping it what it is. And I think the weather had something to do with it. It was like 60 degrees and
Fall in Rhode Island. Very nice right now.
about 8 knots anymore, and we'd have gone under in the old tire
God,
down.
we need you, Charlie.
But yeah, I did that this weekend, and then obviously back in the office all week, just chipping away at the to-do list, which is astronomically long.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we should introduce a Stoke Award to the youth champs? I like that.
Like that.
Good.
Yeah, we already have like the Dave Perry Sportsmanship Award, which is basically
Okay.
the Stoke Award.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
So-
add that description in. Yeah.
Yeah, we can just update the wording a little bit.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Well, Charlie, you spent a lot of time in my native Midwest, sailing on Lake Michigan, the lovely Lake Michigan, but maybe
Sure.
more importantly, recently in the state of Wisconsin. Tell us about the blue chip and what you did in Wisconsin and why it's the best state in the country, please.
Okay. Yeah, the blue chip was a super unique experience. I think you gotta, throughout the course of the East Scow season, I think you gotta qualify for the blue chip, around 20 boats,
Yeah.
and then they invited mystery guests every year. And
Mhm.
I was fortunate enough to be invited, and the people of Pewaukee, they really roll out the red carpet for you, pick you up at the airport, provide you with a boat, great crew, a couple Wisconsin Badgers. I had John O'Bailey and Maida Simon
No gang
sailing
signs.
with us, along with the great Jim Campbell, who's been running the mystery guest program for the last few years.
Mm.
But it's great. I mean, everybody kind of a lot like the Archipelago rally. Like everybody's in it for good old fashioned, clean fun. And the whole yacht club, it's all volunteers. People really take pride in putting it on. The list of past mystery guests is long and distinguished, and I can see why, having now lived through it. Like, I am an advocate, and whoever is invited next year, I will certainly encourage them to go. Bill Goggins, Harkin CEO, just added me to the mystery guest WhatsApp chat.
Oh, wow.
So that is
Oh,
like,
cool.
oh yeah,
Elite.
So
Sounds like a
that's-
Heisman chat or something.
Sure, something
Yeah.
like that.
Group.
So that's surprisingly active, which is cool. I'm sure there'll be some banter moving forward about who next year's guest will be. But just an awesome experience to like be part of, and to visit that part of the world, see how it's done. Sailing is thriving, certainly in that environment. Normally when I come home from an event, I just pass out on the plane. But I felt like so moved by the experience that I had there. I actually wrote a piece about the event, which turned out to be like a little bit of a love letter to the Scout community and the people of Pewaukee and Harkin HQ. But yeah, it was awesome. It was really great to see, and hopefully I can make it, back out to that part of the world. There's a lot of good sailing that happens there, and the boats are awesome. Have you ever sailed one?
I have not.
Oh,
No, it looks great.
yeah. It's like big main, lee boards.
You were a little nervous leading up. You were like, I need some tiller time.
I got none in advance. I hadn't sailed a regatta like with my name on the scratch sheet or my hand on the tiller, other than some oceanic thing, in like basically a decade.
Whatever that was.
And I didn't know what to expect.
And you still got it?
But I still got it, kind of.
All right.
The first day it was like 10 to 15, like, what I'd call acceptable lake sailing.
Mm.
And
all lake sailing.
yeah, we got off the line great. The crew was awesome. I mean, they carried me. They had all the experience, but we got off the line well. We were going well. I think we were tied for third or something after the first day. Lost the middle day to no wind. And the last day we had one race and 4 knots, got off the line well. I was kind of head in the boat, and about, I don't know, 2 minutes after the start, I looked up and I was like, and we're in 17th. And there goes the podium. I think we lost a 4-way tiebreaker for 4th or something. I don't know, but it wasn't really about that, like I left loving the place, and yeah, do I still got it? I don't know. You'd have to ask the people in the fleet.
He's,
Yeah.
he's
Kyle
still,
Navin.
he's still,
Oh, got
Kyle
it.
Navin, the
He's still got
national champ, and a buddy of mine who I've done some sailing with recently on the 52s. I had him right where I wanted him going into that last day, and then he had a good race and I had a bad race, and he got us by a point.
Ooh.
Old bugger.
Good to see it.
But a good kid and a product of that system, and you can see why he's good. A lot of good sailing happening out there.
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of tight quarters. You can see a lot of the inland sailors like succeeding on the Melgus 15 circuit, I think, because they're so condensed on the lakes there. They're good at figuring out how to get through the fleet and dealing with shiftiness. And yeah.
One of the things I thought was so cool is that you can sail with either 3 or 4 people,
Yeah.
depending upon the wind speed, and you can make that decision up until 4 minutes. So you can just like get rid of the 4th person on some random spectator boat or a dock or a pontoon boat, and they just like
Maybe
do that
a
race
mooring.
if it's light.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
cool.
like a real winning combo to be the 4th on an e-scow. It's going to be a really light regatta and all your friends are
Yeah.
also 4ths on the e-scow. Yeah. Hang
Yeah, it was
out,
fun.
watch the racing. Yeah. I heard you did not do that though. I heard you kept your 4th the whole time.
We needed all the help we could get. Yeah, we needed all the help we
All
could
hands.
get. Yeah, so even in the light air, we opted to go with 4. But yeah, it was great.
Nice.
Cool.
Great. I know you've also been traveling around a lot to a lot of events, rubbing shoulders and suits and neckties. Can you tell us a little bit about your trip to New York City to the Hudson River Community Sailing event? I think it was the Sailing for Scholars Gala.
Sailing for
a little bit about-
Scholars Gala. Yep, was last week. That was awesome. I developed a bit of a rapport with Hudson River Community Sailing. When I was sailing around the world with the 11th Hour Racing Team, they were grantees of ours, and went and did a site visit and was able to sail with a bunch of the students and instructors, and was really like moved by the work that they do in terms of like opportunity creation and waterfront access and getting people on the water who otherwise wouldn't have the ability to do so. That was the lens through which I first viewed them. And then now in this role, it was cool to find out that they are like the poster child for what kind of community sailing should look like in this country. They're a certified U.S. sailing community sailing center. They have an adaptive program. They work with us collaboratively on coming up with a curriculum and implementation of it. And that was like awesome to see, through a different lens, now kind of sitting in this seat. And, they were kind enough to honor me with the Founders Award. So got to work with Robert Burke, who's the executive director, and his team on that. It was cool. Generally just a really cool experience, and another kind of event that I left ready to run through a wall for Robert Burke and his
Yeah.
group there at the Hudson River Community Sailing. So yeah, it was awesome. Been doing tons of stuff.
Yeah, they do really cool stuff there. We have the pleasure of working with Don Rotzine from HRCS. And I did enjoy seeing the photos of you guys in the model room. And Don is like all spiffed up. We usually see him in his Tyvek suit calling into a meeting between boat work. So the duality of running a community sailing center is like loud and
he
proud.
was we both showed up at 5, and they were hoping that I'd be able to give a VIP tour of the model room. And Don was like, I think you should just kind of talk about this and talk about that. And within 30 seconds, I was like, wow, this guy knows way more about the model room and the history of the America's Cup than I do. You should lead this tour, and you do the play-by-play and I'll do the color commentary. But yeah, wealth of knowledge, and, obviously super invested in their programming. He cares. Just what a great organization.
That's awesome. Yeah, the full breadth of U.S. sailing here kind of on display with all these little places you're pinging and ponging to. And,
Yep.
You mentioned the USOPC here.
Oh, yeah.
And that assembly there, at that level, the NGB level, like what are the discussions like in those meetings? Like what are people talking about? Were there any kind of takeaways that you had from that experience aside from running through walls?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot going on. So there's like the USOPC, there's the USOPF, the foundation, which has been wildly successful, particularly in this quad. I think they've doubled their percentage of their budget that is philanthropic
Wow.
in nature. Yeah, which is pretty cool because you always think about the commercial partnerships
Right.
and the NBCs and the
Right.
big corporate sponsors, but particularly here with the domestic games, philanthropy has been a huge part of the raise for this quad. I think, I don't want to misspeak here, but I believe they hit their philanthropic fundraising goal for the quad in year one.
Whoa.
Which is pretty amazing. So the
Whoa.
foundation's been doing great work. There's the NGB Congress, so U.S. Sailing being the national governing body, and me being the CEO, I am the representative to the NGB Congress. So those are the meetings that I took part in while I was there. But there's also the Athlete Council. There's the, you name it. It's a massive organization that touches all parts of not only Team USA, but also the organizing committee that we have for LA 28. And obviously we were in Salt Lake City, so they're already looking forward to 34. It's huge. I mean, the Olympics are, the biggest sporting arena in the world, and the organization here in the United States, reflects that, I would say. It's really cool. I mean, whether it's on the performance side, the organization side, the finance side, it's no small undertaking.
Well, there's so many takeaways and crossovers into the sport of sailing from all of these other sports. And, whenever we link up and access that, whether it's like a coach education thing or a safe sport thing or a high performance thing or, fundraising, finance, it's definitely really good for sailing, I think.
It was great for me to develop relationships with like-minded, if you will, kind of sports and organizations. This is somewhat tangential, but like one of the things that we're involved in is this NGB partnership collective. So we've partnered with rowing, fencing, cycling, and squash to sell partnership in mass. So,
nice.
Sports with a similar demographic, have come together to sell in mass to get the number of impressions and the eyeballs and the what have you. And that is something that's particularly in the last couple months started to gather some serious momentum, closed a couple deals, and like just having that network is super important for sailing to gain perspective and to gain footprint. And it was cool. It was really cool.
Very cool. Well, anything else you want to give us in your CEO corner here before we get into the latest news?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, we've been doing a lot of work. We got a lot more work to do. I think, I'm bullish on the future. That's for sure. We're just trying to kind of get our ducks in a row here between now and the end of the year. We got the strategic planning going on as we speak. It's probably worth touching on that. One of the many things that I inherited with this role was a expired strategic plan. So that's been a big part of what, I've personally been working on since I got here. We didn't want it to be this like inward facing kind of insular thing. So we've kind of canvassed the landscape to gather feedback. We sent out a kind of pulse survey to our membership and then who we hope to be our aspirational membership in the future. We sent kind of a more in-depth survey to the staff, to the board, and also to a group of external stakeholders that we've assembled from all over the sport and all over the country. And just last Friday, we got our last bits of kind of red line feedback from everybody. And now it's up to us to synthesize that and produce a plan that is going to be ready for ratification and rollout at the AGM, US Sailing AGM, which is the middle of November.
Great.
Yeah, I think, one thing that I've been banging on about is that, we're never going to be able to be as an organization everything to everyone. So as much as the strategic plan is going to define what we focus on moving forward, it's also going to kind of define what we're not going to be able to focus on moving forward. And I think that's kind of okay. When we put together this group of external stakeholders, I was very upfront in the beginning, and I said, hey, listen, we want to hear what you have to say, but please don't be disappointed if in the final plan, what you think isn't at the forefront of where we're headed. That's not to say that it might not be years down the line, or when the organization's in a different place, or that we can't work collaboratively with somebody else on something,
Right.
But it, not everything can be a priority, because if that's the case, nothing is a priority. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think we have to be a little bit more myopic in our approach, and hopefully the strategic plan will reflect that. It's a work in progress, but on time and on pace. So.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the annual meeting in November. That comes along with a stakeholders summit that will be here in Bristol, Rhode Island in November, and then we're going to have a number of regional meetings and events going on this winter and spring into next year. So if these topics get you excited out there, come to one of these events and engage with us on it. We're going to have a national coaching symposium in February. We're getting ready to launch that, so stay tuned. And a bunch of other regional events, which is great. It's what it's all about. Get together, talk shop, share information, makes the pie bigger. And speaking of get-togethers, let's pivot to some news and other topics. But Whitney and Janelle, you guys were at the Annapolis Boat Show, which is a pretty small get-together of sailors in Annapolis.
Yes. Very tiny, yes.
You're being facetious, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think between the two boat shows, like the Power Boat Show, which is one weekend, and then the Sailboat Show, which is the following, they get around 50,000 people through the doors of the show. So
not bad.
And the Sailboat Show was significantly larger. Yeah. It was great. We talked to hundreds of people that stopped by the booth. We got to walk around a little bit. We had a lot of partners and member orgs that were there. We saw a lot of old faded US sailing hats. So there's definitely some people loud and proud walking around the show, which was great. So it was cool. It's a different audience than we engage with like at our championships and stuff. So a lot of people interested in safety at sea, and then how to take like intro level courses. A lot of people with like keel boats in the 25 to 35 foot range that are getting excited about getting into the sport. So it was a very cool event, and we got to see some cool boats and meet some interesting people from all over the country. That was what struck me. People would walk up and say, "Oh yeah, I'm in town from San Diego. What do you guys do?" So
yeah, and that they come every time. They've been coming every year from San Diego or from the other side of the country to the Annapolis Boat Show. We hadn't had a presence at the Annapolis Boat Show, I think, before COVID. So it's been at least 5 years since we've done it. We had an overwhelming positive response of, we're so happy you're here. We're so happy we can talk to someone face to face. Granted, I was a little nervous about how many hard conversations we might have with someone coming up to tell us how they really feel about U.S. sailing. But ultimately, all really easy questions to answer. And everyone ended up being so kind and understanding. And we were able to help almost everyone we talked to. So definitely do it again. Excited for the next boat show.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I was able to go in those before times, pre-COVID one year, and it was amazing to me, like the industry presence. There's the attendees, but there's also sort of the inside the sailing industry, boating industry presence there, massive get together. So I feel like that's a super important thing for the sport, to have that kind of key networking opportunity across the board. And they do like the boat of the year event there, right, with Sailing World. I think we're gonna hear a little bit more about that in a little while, right, Whitney?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It was like very nautical for that experience. So it got Sunday, it was blowing 35 and raining, and they still got all of these, boats like 35 to 55 feet that are all crammed like 4 inches apart from each other, and all the docks out on Sunday night. So
wow, that
was an impressive feat of boat handling and logistics.
Logistics.
And I was glad I was not on board any of them.
Well, a couple other key events that have just been going on the U.S. Sailing calendar. We've had quite a few U.S. Sailing championships. We're kind of wrapping up the championship season here. I was at the U.S. Youth Championship at Lauderdale Yacht Club last weekend, And what an amazing event. What an amazing place. Thank you, Lauderdale Yacht Club. Fantastic venue. And, you know, the age-old conundrum came up here where the wind was excellent in the lead up to the event and excellent after the event and not so great during the event. So King Neptune was playing tricks on us a little bit. So we had...
I hate it when he does that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We actually did a sacrifice on the last morning to King Neptune, and we did get much better wind that day, which also worked at the Hinman Trophy. So this is now a thing. Thank you, Dick York, for introducing us to that sacrifice process. But yeah, we just had really light wind on day 1 and day 2 of racing. Luckily, day 3 came through with some nice breeze. So we were able to complete the event, but we were kind of dangerously on the edge there for a moment of having a non-event, which is, of course, every organizer's nightmare. But a couple highlights. Yeah.
JP and I were communicating Sunday morning about all the contingencies and the what ifs.
Yeah, we had to activate the bat phone.
Exactly. The bat phone was going wild. What if we don't get this thing in? How's it going to work? We need to send some people to Portugal. But luckily,
we got there.
Cooler heads and good weather prevailed.
We got some wind, yeah. So one of the cool things was in the IQ foil fleet, there was a battle at the front of the fleet between Garrett January and Makani Andrews, both of whom are at the top of their game. You know, Garrett got 5th at the IQ foil youth and junior worlds this summer.
Makani won the junior Pan Ams.
Won the junior Pan Ams. So they, luckily they got to duke it out on the water for the youth world spot. Makani was looking to return to Youth Worlds and defend his bronze medal, but Garrett was, won the day with a 2-2-1-1-1-1, I believe, and got the berth to Portugal to the Youth Worlds. So nice job, Garrett January.
Cool.
And another kind of fun highlight for the second year in a row, the 420 class winner was a female team, and Elizabeth Zaitis and Alexandra Kolaya won the Manton Scott Trophy for the 420 class. So definitely great competition, trying conditions. Lauderdale Yacht Club pulled through for us big time. Thank you guys. And we got the Youth Worlds team nailed down. So we're getting ready for the Youth Worlds in Portugal this December with a great group of sailors. And, thanks to everyone who battled for those spots. It's always, when there's something like that on the line, there's always a little extra level of competition out there. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, another championship going on is the U.S. Sailing Open Match Racing Championships, which highlights 10 sailors from around the country. I know, Charlie, you were there in person. Which day did you visit? There's a 3-day event, Friday to Sunday. When were you able to visit to see the sailors and the conditions?
I was there Saturday, midday. Timing wasn't perfect. It must have been the same weather system as Lauderdale.
Probably.
My kids and I got out on the water for about an hour and they were in postponement. But
yes,
I think with, some pretty trying conditions, they were able to get in all the races and crown a very worthy champion, and nothing but positive feedback from that event.
Yeah, the Tom 28s are a formidable boat. I always love to see the pictures of the dial-ups, the wind shots on the downwind with the kite up. I think it was really close racing. And for me, really exciting to see 3 women's helm invited to this event. You can qualify in from around the country. There's a bunch of qualifiers. Top team gets invited. You can apply for an open bid. Let's say you've won a championship or you match raced a while ago and you want to get back into it. But they actually invited the top 3 women's helm from the U.S. Women's Match Racing Championship. And it was great to see one of them get to the top 4. So I love to see that. But
I think there was a youth sailor who did quite well. Didn't end up winning in the end, but when I was there on Saturday, they were talking about what they were going to do with the Sexton celebration moment because the competitor was so young.
Right. No champagne for you. Grape juice.
No,
that's right.
Yeah, grape juice, sparkling grape juice. Yeah, Christian Prendergast and team. He's quite young. He won the round robin, so we'll have to look at maybe the youngest to win the round robin. 8-1, beating the local favorite Peter Holtz in the tiebreaker, but meeting him again in the finals, and Peter Holtz and team taking the win, and Christian getting second.
And the champagne.
And the champagne.
Yeah.
So a big shout out to Peter Holt, Ian Beckley, Hector Guzman, and Jonathan Hammond for winning the 2025 US Open Match Racing Championships.
Well done.
Well done.
And then we had, I think the same weekend, actually, the offshore championships were out here in Annapolis at the Naval Academy on the Navy 44s. So that event happens every other year. And so it's happened this year in relatively light conditions, which is challenging on the tubs of the Navy 44s. But essentially,
Hot take.
They don't love the light air, JP. I mean, that is
momentum is their friend. Got
Keep
it.
the engine
Momentum.
on until 4 minutes. Yes.
Yeah, full speed ahead until you need to turn it off. It's like a mix of buoy racing and distance racing. So the distance race is like 12 miles. And the scuttlebutt around town was that the wind speed was like 3.5 knots when they started this distance race. It got better as the race went on, but so some typical light air Chesapeake sailing for the Navy 44s. But I think everybody had fun. They got through a bunch of races, and Edgewater Yacht Club's team, so the team from Cleveland, Ohio, took the win. They had a couple of repeat winners from the last event. So
there have been a lot of really light wind regattas this year. Like a lot of the parents at Youth Champs were talking about this, like multiple classes, world championships, national championships. And I mean, obviously it's nuked at some events as well. So it's like feast or famine maybe, but it's been a kind of a rough wind year.
Notable. Yeah, notable.
So back to King Neptune, maybe for 2026.
What do we have to sacrifice exactly? What's the sacrifice?
Oh, it's just, you just kind of do a toast and pour some rum in the water.
Oh.
Yeah, but Dick
Okay.
York
Okay.
did it first. So I think it's like a real thing because he's a very
salty.
knowledgeable guy.
Salty.
Very salty, exactly.
Salty.
So
Yeah.
and it
he
worked
knows.
for us at the Hinman when he did it, and it worked at the Youth Champs. So think
All right.
about that.
Got it.
okay, noted.
Add it to the
Taking into
docket.
consideration. Yep.
Official championship protocol. If your event is not complete
Add it to the
on the
conditions.
last day and you are at risk of a
Gosling's
non-event, please toast Neptune.
Great. Moving on to some other sailing news. A really busy weekend in Annapolis with the J22 East Coast Champs, the J24 East Coast Champs, and the J105 Chesapeake Bay Championships. We actually have a podium placing, actually, I think a winner of the J22 East Coast Champs. Whitney, can you tell us about your weekend?
Yeah, we did a family program on the J22. We had
Nice.
it was me and then my boyfriend who I normally sail with. He did middle and his dad drove. So full family event, super fun. We had the opposite of light air. It was nuclear. We took a wave just over the beam of the J22, right inside the entire companionway hatch.
Onto the kite. That's good.
Yes, right onto the kite. But it was a fun weekend. They do a great job. I think we referenced this event when we had Alan Terhune on a few episodes ago, as far as an event where they do a good job with logistics, the party, the racing. They did a really nice job. Sounds a lot like what Charlie was talking about earlier. There was a big line for some oysters, some crab soup, all the local accoutrements. So, and then we got to intermingle with the J105 event. So, it was a good weekend on the Chesapeake for sure. So
I've done that weekend down there. It's great.
Mhm.
Nice time of year
Yeah,
to be down
there's
there and good camaraderie.
a very, very long flip cup table is involved. So
I saw those
Nice.
pictures.
Congrats, Whitney. Well done. You guys
Thanks.
really,
Thanks.
what an esteemed group of sailors here.
Yeah.
You guys are kicking butt. Has anyone done any model yachting, though? I heard there was some big time model boating going on at Sail Newport. this last weekend.
DF95 Nationals, 60 competitors. I went down on Friday
Wow.
afternoon. Had to qualify to go. They were turning them away.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, amazing. It's really cool. They do like a Swiss League. They do it in flights, like A through D. So rough maths.
Yeah.
That's 15 boats on the line. And basically, if you finish, I'm making this up, but I think it's if you finish in the top four, you stay in your fleet. And if you make it in the bottom four, you get relegated and reseeded and what have you. But
Cool.
when I was there on Friday afternoon, if you haven't seen it, it's hysterical. I mean, it's intense. It obviously correlates to sailing. because you see the best sailors at the top of the game, but they're standing there with the remote controls. It's starboard, lure. I think I'm lured. Did I miss that mark? And it's like the audio.
Right.
It's
Can't
unbelievable.
really see, right?
Yeah, in the battle between the Reed brothers, Kenneth W. Reed II and Bradford, it was on Friday, and it continued on throughout the weekend, and I think Brad ended up on top.
Nice.
Which is kind of cool to see with all the work that he puts into Sail Newport and hosting and what have you. But it'll probably make for an interesting holiday season around the Reed House. If I had to guess.
Bragging rights.
Just put it right in the middle of the table.
Sure. Yeah. But no, that was awesome to see. And, I was able to connect with the class president, Len Bowes, and, kind of hear about how it all works. And a lot of other local legends up there too. The Newport fleet was well represented in the A class. But it was cool. Really cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was down there watching that event a couple of years ago. I think it was something similar at Sail Newport. And I had like a kid in a stroller, and I was like trying to stay out of the way. So I was like at the far end of the dock, but I didn't realize that like they were all going to walk upwind. Yes, they were sailing up. So suddenly we're like surrounded. I'm like, oh, we're in the way. And I'm like, oh my God, is that so-and-so? Is that so? Okay.
That was really cool. It was really, really cool.
Yeah. Quite a scene. A different way to do your sailboat racing, but still sailboat racing nonetheless.
It's good.
And maybe to wrap up here, we should look at the Rolex Y of Y nominations. Because the nominations are open, correct?
They're open
right now
currently.
Is the nomination period?
Yep, open currently. And I think they're open until the end of December. And we'll be hosting the Y of Y awards dinner at the New York Yacht Club in New York on February 12th. Mm-hmm. So the way it works is nominations are open between now and the end of the year.
Okay.
There's a panel that will take all the nominations and narrow it down to 3 finalists. And then there's another panel of past winners and whatnot, who then...
of which you are one.
I am
correct.
It's a giant black box when you're on the outside.
Is there a group chat?
And all of a sudden you're on the inside.
Is there another WhatsApp?
There's not a WhatsApp for that. But the process is transparent and published on our website.
Your Rolex just starts ringing. You're like, what is this? Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Betsy, is that you?
Yeah. the bat phone. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple nominations that are already in. On the male and female side. We got Paul Cagard, having won the 100 boat Star World Championship.
Yeah.
His name's got to be right up there. I think I've seen Justin Callahan's name in there. We talked about Kyle Navin earlier.
Can't stop winning.
I'm going to embarrass him. I got a really cute, and I don't use that word very, very often. I got a cute email from his grandfather asking how to nominate his grandson, Kyle.
That's what it's all about.
Cool.
And I said, you should be proud of his sailing accomplishments, but also proud of the man that Kyle has become. And your email is timely because nominations open next week.
Here you go. Here's the link.
I'm sure he threw that one in there. On the, maybe Chris Alexander. We were talking about him earlier. I mean, he just won the Melgus 15 and the VX1.
The VX1. Yeah, he got straight
VX1,
bullets on the last day of the VX1 event.
Impressive.
To come here.
Like
That's insane.
Yeah.
Ice water in his veins.
Pretty cool. And then how about on the female side of things?
Well, I got Allie Bell.
Allie Bell
winning the Transpac.
Winning the Transpac, and all of our listeners should know that
deal.
she is nominated for Rolex World Sailor of the Year.
Yeah. I voted for her yesterday.
Voting
Very
is
cool.
up right now. So if you're looking to support your countrywoman, vote for Allie is a good vote. Who else on the female side of things?
Well,
we're going to talk about Chris Alexander. Maybe
I was going to put in Whitney Kent, actually.
Kent.
I think JP, sadly falling off a J22 twice in 1 year during a race automatically disqualifies you from that.
Bummer.
So
and I'm disqualified too. Shoot.
Shoot. Well, I was going to nominate you. I mean, I guess maybe next year, JP.
Maybe young Vanessa Larkamp. Could be another one to put on the list there. She, in the last 2 weeks at the college events, she won A division at the Women's College Atlantic Coast Championship, and then won B division at the Open College Sailing Atlantic Coast Championship. So there's some college sailors like Justin, like Vanessa, who are kind of like destroying and also crossing over into other
Usually when
fleets.
you see her name, it's at the top of the leaderboard.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I was going to
Exactly
say
right.
the impressive part is those two are like also sailing in other classes, right? So they're dominating in a competitive collegiate environment and doing well outside of that. So definitely worthy.
Yeah. So we'll see. But send in your nominations.
Nominations,
right?
yeah.
No time like the present to nominate your favorite Rolex recipient. And I think with that, we should probably wrap up. We'll be back next time with a lot of other news, college sailing, One Design sailing, you name it. But Charlie, any parting words for our listeners?
Not really. Thanks for having me. I like the cadence,
Yeah.
I'd love to
Come
be a
back
guest
soon.
whenever you guys feel it's appropriate.
Well, you are in charge, so.
Yeah. I mandate that I be
He
on every.
demands.
You could just walk right
2
in
weeks.
and start talking.
Yeah, that's not how it's going to work. You guys tell me when you want me, and I'll be at the ready.
Perfect.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Whitney. Thanks, Janelle. And see you later, American Sailors.
Take care.